So there you guys are with this. You've got this Doomguard restrained in the 3rd floor of this tower, and he is not happy that he's had to listen to all of Mahogany's just complaining about whatever.
Let's bring him upstairs and ask him which key is the portal key.
So the room you guys bring him to, something had got knocked over in here because this room spent a fair amount of time embroiled in magical darkness.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that got knocked over was a box filled with just hundreds of little metal keys of all different shapes.
Or was it a chest of drawers? Never mind. Whatever.
It was
box.
It was a dresser or a box or something. Does this really matter?
How many hats were in it?
See, this is what I'm talking. This is the kind of thing my Ravenloft group would agonize over. Like, does it matter that it was a box and not a dresser?
Yeah, but here's the thing, though, is that, like, fucking, you would also, to them, go, oh, yeah, actually, turns out during the last week it metamorphized, and that's an important plot component. Good memory, guys.
Now, the one and only reason it would matter is if I decided it was a mimic. But then it would be in my notes, and it's not. So, there's no mimic in this room as far as I know.
There's 200 key mimics.
So you ask him, which of these is the portal key?
Yeah, sure.
And he just laughs at you. He refuses to answer the question. He tells you you're not going to get anything out of him.
I cast Detect Thoughts.
Cast Detect Thoughts?
Sure.
And his surface thoughts are, like, very literally, this is exactly the sequence of events that I'm not going to tell them about. Like, he's literally thinking of a sequence of motions done with certain keys on the floor of this room that will open this portal to the infinite staircase.
Cool. Do I even need to go deeper, or is that it?
No, it's in his head right now. That's what's on the surface. He's really smug about it. Like, they will never find out that they've got to pick up this key in their right hand and this key in their left hand and then do this particular somatic gesture in the archway.
Right, and it's a spell. Alright, cool. Like, and she turns to us, this guy was an easier nut to crack than anyone I've ever cast a spell on.
He's a Doomguard.
They're not complicated people.
They're not complicated.
He doesn't seem to know what you mean by that. But it
Mahogany
doesn't sound good to him.
Mahogany will turn to him and go, don't feel bad about it, man.
Right, like,
She does it to everybody.
slowly and deliberately goes through the motions of exactly what she... Like, watching him the whole time. Just
And
taunting him.
you just see anger on his face the entire time this is happening.
Yeah, I'm not going to actually open the portal. I just want to do enough of it to let you know. Yeah,
Right,
you're
you're really
rumbled.
breaking this guy down. That's entropy in motion.
As soon as you pick up the correct keys, I mean, it takes you several minutes to fish around on the floor to find the correct keys, but as soon as you find them and pick them up, he knows what's going on, and he's having a bad day now.
Yeah.
What do you do with this guy?
What would be the most fun thing to do with this guy?
I was thinking that too.
Well,
I was
Kelian's
thinking about
flaw is...
I was thinking about just putting a bolt in his head, but that seems like something the Doomguard would want. Oh.
Heal him and set it free.
You want to know Kelian's flaw?
Yeah, what's his flaw?
When I think with my penis nothing can go wrong, that one?
No! Brick Road!
What?
Let's wait until the actual Dungeon of Depravity before we go there.
Yeah.
God damn it.
I didn't say nothing.
You said several things.
You let him have that flaw.
To be fair, I don't think he's gotten much experience for it since he changed his flaw to that.
True.
So what do you guys do with this Doomguard? If you leave him here tied up, he's going to eventually starve to death or scream bloody murder until he's discovered.
Yeah, neither of those things is very fun.
I say we just heal him and set him free. Who cares?
Well, I mean, he'll attack us.
Well, then we'll just knock him unconscious and then leave.
So your plan is to heal him, knock him unconscious, and then leave. So when he wakes up,
But yeah, when he wakes up, he'll still be here, and he'll do something about the. Yeah, we got to do something else with him. We might have to kill him.
All right, never mind. Bolt
While
in the
they're
neck.
talking about this, Serenity just
Bolt
takes
in the
an axe
neck.
and crushes his neck.
Okay.
you just execute
All right,
him.
problem
Yeah,
solved. Let's go.
Enough.
All right, do we? Riot, go ahead and activate this. We'll toss all the bodies through the portal and push them off the staircase. Do you know if it's two-way from his thoughts?
You know what? I didn't get the other half.
Also, do we even know why the Doomguard are here?
Nope.
No.
Well, I mean, it's the infinite staircase. When we were there, none of the
Mahogany
staircase.
is saying that to Serenity because he's like, "Aren't you chaotic good?"
Yeah, I killed a bunch of guys already. I don't see any difference between one who isn't able to fight back when I already beat him.
They fought us first. It's fine. Let's just go.
I mean,
At any
that's
rate,
true. They are
the infinite staircase, from my experience, none of the stairs were very wide. If we just throw them as hard as we can through the portal, maybe it'll clear the stairway.
Okay, but no one else can go through that portal, right? I mean, no, we're not doing this right now, are we?
I mean, do you want to leave these bodies here?
No, but I'm saying
Somebody's already collected the ones from the street.
we ourselves are not going.
Oh
on
no,
adventures
that's
right
why I'm
now.
thinking we should throw them instead of
Yeah.
just dropping them.
That's fine, and Riot does the thing.
So you're gonna activate the portal, and then chuck the bodies
To
through.
dump the bodies. Yeah.
As hard as she can, so she hopefully clears, and there's not like a pile of bodies to trip over when we go. use
It's
the
an
portal
infinite
later.
staircase, dude. It's fine.
So, how much do you guys remember about what actually happened last time you were at the Infinite Staircase?
I remember we woke up a demon, or maybe it wasn't demon. Brickard, you have to know. I use these terms more interchangeably than I should.
Right.
We woke up a fiend that had already done a bunch of damage to the staircase, and after
And
we
been
woke
put to
up,
sleep.
presumably we did more.
And we ran from it, and I forget what the group that we found camped out on the staircase was. With the guy we were looking for.
But
That
I
was
will
the-
say, when we say we woke up the demon, like we woke it up from sleeping. Like we didn't wake it up from some enchanted sleep.
Oh,
Right? Yeah.
I
it
don't know
was
about
just-
that.
Like the demon was already there.
And we found Mrs. Fluffybottom, who was great.
Yep.
That's also true.
Also, I got these really cool rock cubes, but I used them already.
As far as the nomenclature goes, demons and devils and Yugoloths are all fiends. So if you say fiend, you cover all the bases.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just forget a lot.
Looking into the portal when it's open,
Mhm.
you read the man's thoughts, and he was thinking about how this portal goes to the Infinite Staircase. But when you look through the portal, you don't see much in the way of stairs. I mean, you have memories of being there and seeing the destruction that this demon had wrought, as far as twisting the architecture of the staircase. Looking through the portal now, you see corpses littering the area in front of the portal. You're throwing bodies onto a pile of bodies.
Is this? Wait, were they already using this as a body dump?
Somebody has been.
Well,
You recognize the black, inky void of the Infinite Staircase from your last visit there, but the landing that this portal opens up into isn't stairs. It's a incredibly macabre, twisted lattice work of rust and metal, and it looks like it's been manufactured into a fortress. And furthermore, it looks like an incredibly intense battle has been raged here very, very recently. The bodies that you see Many of them are human, or at least demi-human, the denizens of, say, like Sigillian mercenaries and whatnot. But just as many are fiends. You see many, many dead bodies of Yugoloths and Tanari, both.
Are they Doomguard bodies? Most of them?
You'd have to go through the portal and start sifting through them, my friend.
I thought it would be a little more obvious than that, like they're wearing spiky Doomguard armor.
I mean, you see... Actually, you don't see much in the way of armor at all. The bodies that are laying there looks like they've been stripped.
Alright.
Huh.
Well, we're pretty sure the big guy escaped through this, right?
Yes.
Well,
And then
there's
after
another
a few
portal
moments-
overlaying this one.
The portal closes up.
Well then.
And we know Doomguard escaped through this portal.
Yeah.
Well,
Huh.
I heard someone jingling around keys, and I could feel the portal open. Like I said, there could be another portal in this room, or one overlaying this one with a different key, but it's probably the best assumption.
I mean, with an infinite number of portals, most of them have to have completely shitty stuff through them. Right?
We have been to a prime material world, so yeah.
So, not our problem?
Yeah, but you forget that this whole tower is connected to Fred. Like,
Yeah,
he
that's-
owned this
Oh,
tower
that's
with,
right. There's not an infinite number of Freds.
with a portal leading to that for some reason.
That's where I got my math wrong. Alright, well, unless you guys think we're gonna come up with some crazy infinite staircase plans, reminding you guys that it is an infinite staircase. If we're gonna go 3, might as well go now.
No, I have business to take care of here. We'll do this, but we'll do this when I'm ready.
Alright, well,
And Riot looks at Kelian and is like, what have you got going on that's so important?
Mahogany shrugs and says, "This tower's boring now. Let's go."
What kind
I'm
of
just
measures
more
do you take to
curious than
secure the
anything.
tower? If any.
Kelian will plant himself here.
You're just gonna squat here?
Yeah.
Okay. Is the door
Give me time to
lockable?
think.
Yes, the door can be barred from the inside.
Okay.
You mean the ground floor door, not the
Yeah,
portal.
I mean the ground floor.
Yeah, it can be barred from the inside.
And bar the portal.
And I mean, looking out the narrow windows of the top floor, you have an excellent view of the rooftops and the street level around this area. This is a very defensible position.
Seems good to leave our archer here.
Okay, so what's next?
Well, do we want to do some research into the infinite staircase? I know we've already been there once before.
It's infinite. It's a staircase. Don't split up.
Who is taking the portal keys that open this portal? Or are you leaving those here?
I feel like we should leave him here.
I feel like that we
Really?
should leave them with Kelian.
Yeah.
Yeah,
just
no, I don't-
We're leaving Kelian here.
I don't
Right.
think we should leave them here.
Okay, so what's next for the rest of you?
Hmm. Does what was it called? The Order of the Planewalkers?
The Planewalkers Guild.
Planewalkers Guild.
Mhm.
Do they have like a chapter in Sigil?
They don't, and that's kind of one of their tenets. Why they're kind of called the Planewalkers. They don't have a lot of representation in Sigil. Many years ago, there was some bad blood between them and various factions and whatever, and so they actually set up out on the plains.
Yeah, when we met them, they seemed very dismissive of Sigil.
Yeah, that's true. I was just wondering if there was a way we could get a line on them and find out what's been going on with them without actually going to their base.
If we want to know what's going on with them, we should just go check on what's going on with them.
Well, this is like forewarned is forearmed.
We've never once used a piece of forewarning to our advantage.
Yeah, but I got time to kill. I got to make these. Riot will go ahead and explain. I think she already has explained once the whole thing with the Mast and the Astral Pirates and how we got to get in. We got to get an angle on these guys because they're going to come up eventually. So I don't want to leave them in lurch because they'll probably burn everything I own down.
So you don't want to leave Sigil until after the 17th?
Until after I've delivered that first Mast as requested.
Okay.
First of all, the Riot that I used to know would have burned everything that she owns down on her own. And second of all, you're not making the Mast. Let's just ship them off.
No, but I gotta treat them. I gotta bless them. That's what they asked for specifically. Like the Riot you knew also wasn't a priestess.
So you guys going to wait for a week of downtime for this Mass to be complete and for Riot to sanctify it? Or are you going to
Get
convince
a lot
her
done in a
to...
week on this infinite staircase.
I mean, how long do you have on that sword, Mahogany?
Oh yeah,
a
that's
month.
another thing. How long do you have on it?
A month.
A month? I'm just
You
saying
guys
we
want
could
to leave right here. We
because
could go off.
yeah, well,
Deal with that.
or we could use this week that I need to do some research into what's going on in the Infinite Staircase.
I thought Riot wasn't going to come to the...
Yeah, she's not coming anyway.
To what?
You said that you weren't interested in coming along to Mystery.
Oh no, I'm not.
So we can just leave you here. You can do whatever research you want. And
Oh,
we'll
okay.
go
When
off
you
this.
when you said leave her here, I thought you meant leave her here and go off to the Infinite Staircase.
No.
No,
Okay, yeah,
that would be dumb.
yeah.
So-
You guys have fun.
You guys are going to go off to Limbo?
Yep.
And deal with the Alkayandak order?
Yeah.
Hey, how are you getting to Limbo?
Do you want Kelian to squat in the tower while you guys are going off to Limbo, or do you
I
want
thought Kelian already
on-
decided he was going to come with us.
Kelian, you should just come with us. It's a tower. It's not going anywhere. And the teleporter probably isn't either.
I'm more concerned about
Take the key.
having to fight more Doomguard in the tower as soon as we leave it.
Okay, and I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not super worried about having to fight more of those Doom guards.
All right. I'll remember this next time. Oh, don't kill them.
Kelian will remember this.
So how do
You
the
say
three of you
Say
get to
don't kill
Limbo?
them. How did we get there last time? Let me look at my notes.
I do have a portal listed, so you guys must have taken a portal.
Yeah, I think we did. I think it was probably a portal in the bad part of town.
We used to have. Was Elsie Clone the owner of that portal? Is that why we don't remember?
Ciphers, Celestia.
Celestia.
I'm going through my notes. Boring job guy. Mechanist,
We used to have a really good
slavers,
portal key list.
Caravan.
What did you do with it?
Yeah, what happened
Well,
to it?
We didn't add Limbo to it. Is what happened. As far as I can tell, the last time anyone has edited this was the time that we got into that brothel nonsense.
Oh yeah.
Which one was? Didn't we have one where we had a something?
We had to jump
about
into a. I think we
puddle?
jumped into a
I think
boiling
so.
mud pit or something.
Yeah, was there
Yeah,
an
there was-
ooze portal?
Yes,
Yeah,
it was
I think
an
it was
ooze
a puddle in the hive. I think.
Yeah.
In the
That's
hive.
the one that just came to me. And we had to be careful because
Because it's an ooze puddle.
I will award a blip if anybody knows the key.
I'm looking at my notes now. I'm trying to open them.
It's not in my notes.
Let me see if I can I'm waiting for my notes to open. It's taking a long time.
I could say I take notes, but it would be a lie.
What is the plan, Mahogany, for when you get to the Alkaionic Order?
I don't have a plan.
Don't have a plan.
House Cipher.
Okay, let me get...
Whatever we're supposed to do will be apparent when we get there.
I was not expecting to need my Alkaionic Order map this week, but I can dig that out. Ah, there it
You'd
is.
think you would have learned by now.
You'd think. Would you think that?
I'm just really looking forward to Kelian's like exasperated. Like, listen, we paid you to do a thing, and you didn't do it.
The key was to jump into the ooze portal while asking, "Can I go to Limbo, please?"
Yeah, I have no notes about Limbo, apparently.
Must have been McDohl keeping the notes about
Might have
Limbo.
been.
I feel like I don't keep notes.
So when we go back to the ooze puddle, Serenity will use portal sense to make sure the portal is still there.
It is.
Good call.
Okay.
But it only admits one person at a time. You can't all use the portal at
Right.
once.
Right.
All
All
right.
right, if we're here, we're ready to go.
This will get interesting pretty quick.
We all die except for Riot.
Totally possible. Alright, let me get my NPC list here with the Alkaionics on it.
I remember Mr. E, and I remember Devin Sister both.
Yeah, I remember Devin said the both very well.
There was Devinsis the Both, Mr. E. There was...
Geralt.
Yeah, Gerald Tokigani. And their Anarch, Ashal.
Right. Those are the only two I met. There are probably others, but we didn't meet them, and they wouldn't tell us about them.
The three of you are greeted telepathically by the Alkaionics as you approach their fortress on Limbo. Mahogany, you've already done a Doomguard roll for today, right?
It's probably a new day. I'll roll.
Okay.
It takes a day to get there, right?
Oh, I should do that too, huh?
Kelian, you need to roll 2 then. I wasn't sure if you guys were going to rest after the Doomguard
Nope.
Tower or not.
Nope.
Then you are greeted telepathically as the fortress comes into eyeshot. This actually isn't the ground floor of the fortress, but this is the meeting room area where you guys all talked last time. Devinsis the Both greets you all. And preemptively asks what your business is before the doors will be open to you.
And Mahogany says back to deal with some business with Mr. E.
You know what? I am going to get the first floor of this. I can see this going real south real fast.
I'm gonna go ahead and spend some hit die on a short rest before we leave.
So we took a
We
long.
took a long rest before.
Oh, we
you
took a
left.
long rest? Okay,
Yeah.
excellent.
Yeah.
I don't need to worry about that.
You're fine.
Yeah, this is the first floor. I erased the old saves from that little dungeon, so I don't have those anymore, but I do have the images still. Okay. So you're greeted at the front door by one of the projections of Devinsis the Both. And she seems somewhat surprised at the visit. And she inquires as to the nature of the visit.
And Mahogany, he's probably in a party that includes Serenity. This is probably surprising, but he's probably the bluntest member of the party.
Okay.
And he'll just straight out and tell her why they're visiting. And he's like, "Listen, I'm not the most persuasive member of the group, and I only have one goal here, which is to make sure this doesn't happen again."
So what is it that you tell her was done to you?
I tell her that during the resurrection that he performed, he decided to change around my manner of thinking and put basically like a tripwire in my thoughts.
And you explain that, and you say that you're here to make sure that he never does this again. And she looks at the sword hanging on your back.
And when she looks at it, Mahogany will say, that's one of the options. Like I said, I'm not the most persuasive member. There are other options available to us. I just have this one goal.
She directs you to room number 6 up here. She looks more amused than anything when you explain the situation and why you're here.
Yeah.
She says that she's sure that Gerald and Mr. E will be down shortly to speak with you. And then she leaves you guys there in room number 6 here, sitting at these tables.
Yeah.
And a few minutes go by. She's closed the door behind her after she leaves. A few minutes go by. 20 minutes go by.
Yeah, this is all going to go real bad, isn't it?
30 minutes go by.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing in the room? Let's go ahead and get Serenity in that room as well.
Oh, sorry.
This is terrible service.
They haven't brought us dinner. They haven't brought us a Modron.
We've been seated here for 30 minutes.
I actually have to look up a spell real quick, because I think it might be enhanced on Limbo, but I'm not sure. Gotta double check. So you guys are just waiting patiently for someone to call you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
He got bored about 5 minutes in and started carving some decorations on the tables.
Just carving on the table? Okay.
Kelian
I mean, it all looks really nice.
Like out of the tables, just like little inlay work on the surface?
Inlay work, yeah.
Okay.
Kelian is picking his teeth with one of his glass bolts. I've decided that's a thing he's doing.
But like, it's inlay work, but since Mahogany has a very short train of thought right now, it's mostly just pictures of Modrons.
As you guys are sitting there in silence, you suddenly hear a soft click, kind of echoey click, coming from the direction of the doors. That would be this door here, when opened, seals off the path back into the room with the fountain.
Yeah, and Mahogany will say, "Yep, that's the sound of things going poorly." All right.
You then see... Let me collect my thoughts here. You then see several spots in the floor where the stones of the floor meet, twist and open slightly. 3 of them. Here, here, and here. I think that took underneath Serenity there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
What magical effects are happening in the room right now, if any?
Effects happening? Probably none at the
Like
moment.
spells that you have running or magic items that have an overt effects going.
I don't think Serenity has anything.
Okay.
My magic items don't have effects.
Let me double check.
These people aren't casters.
Like,
So, Mahogany, you
Shut up.
say that's the sound of things going badly.
Yep.
And you hear Gerald's voice echoing in the room in response. And it says, well, that's one way they could go. But you said there were others. And now we would hear what you have to say.
The closest thing I have to a magical effect is I have 3 good berries in my pouch, plus my maul that's attuned to me.
That's the thing, is that's not like a currently running effect, though. I'm assuming that items like that just exist at the time.
You can assume that if you like.
Well, all right. Well, Kelian has his magic leather on.
Oh, yeah, if you want me to just tell you all my magic items, I can do that.
No, I'm like saying if you have like a magical glow stick, or if you're sitting there
No, not
playing around
Yeah,
with
yeah.
thaumaturgy while bored. That's kind of what I was asking
Yeah,
about.
no.
Okay.
And Mahogany will say back to the party, he's like, I clearly wasn't there when this was going down, but it was my understanding that you agreed to perform a service that you then didn't provide. And I'm interested to hear why you think that it's... We are at, like, nominal allies at the moment. Why you think that's appropriate.
And Gerald says the nature of this alliance. He asks you what you think the nature of this alliance is. And he asks it in kind of a condescending way, as if to say, what misunderstanding are you laboring under here? What can we clarify for you?
Well, we
And
had a business arrangement. We gave you money to revive our comrade, and you did that, but you also planted something in his brain, which was not part of the arrangement.
And so you've made the journey here to file a grievance.
In a manner of speaking.
With the intent to do violence.
No.
If that's the only way to resolve the grievance. It seems to me that there should be a number of ways. He doesn't enjoy performing resurrections to begin with. He could just agree to not perform any more of them.
And the 3 little holes that open up in the floor, you start hearing a hissing noise dispense out of them. And Gerald says, well, then let us negotiate. What can we do to avoid a violent outcome today?
Let me assure you, we all want to avoid a violent outcome, right? Kelian looks at his comrades noddingly.
I don't want this to come to blows. Not saying it won't, but that's not my preference.
I've always been attempted to form an agreement with people. I know that it involves compromise.
And Gerald says, the funny thing about compromise is it's something that happens between 2 equal parties. And the hissing continues in the floor.
We view you as equals, yes.
Gerald says, here is our offer. We will continue our alliance. We will sit down and have a nice meal and discuss with you any developments in the deal that we previously made. Things that you perhaps may have learned about Aunt Nancy or the game. Things that can help us further our own knowledge. And after this cordial meal and conversation has come to an end, we will say goodbye to you, and you will go back to Sigil from whence you came. And that will be it. And as the hissing continues, he awaits your counteroffer.
Mahogany shrugs and says, "Sounds good to me."
What do Kelian and Serenity say, if anything?
Well,
I mean,
this is. Go ahead.
I mean, this is all to satisfy Mahogany's unease with what's happened to him, so Serenity doesn't need to add anything to that.
Gerald says, regrettably, our comrade, Mr. E, has other business to attend to and will not be present for this meeting. I'm assuming that won't be an issue?
Mahogany will respond back. That seems fine to me.
And the holes in the floor close up, and the sound subsides. And you hear the soft click in the direction of the door again. And then Gerald lays out for you, in his echoey voice throughout the room, the fine meal that they will be serving. And he says he's looking forward to your visit.
Alright, let's go.
And the door opens up.
All right.
Mahogany's already on his way out.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Now
Serenity
that's
staying
the second floor back out.
staying lockstep behind Mahogany.
Can't believe I talked us out of violence.
I think the way I did this was... This, like, sigil on the floor here was actually the table you all were sitting around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you climb up to the second floor, using the spiral staircases at the front of the fortress, I'm going to actually go ahead and spawn in some pawns. Just in case we have to roll initiative. When you climb the stairs, you see the Anarch, Ashal, and Devensis the both, sitting at the table, and a feast has been laid out. The room is filled with wondrous smells. And the young gnome girls welcome you as you come upstairs. She seems genuinely happy that a non-violent solution was able to be reached.
Do we know about Mahogany's Modron slang sword?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But you also know that Mahogany, like, has no... Like, he got it basically to make the Doomguard happy.
Right.
He didn't get it because he's like, oh yeah, I need to get this Modron slaying sword. Like, this is just like... basically the way that he thinks about it is the Doomguard will be happy he kept it for the month at least, because at least that was unpleasant for him.
So what you're saying is when you're standing in the crazy salt room that's slowly killing you, surrounded by crazy Doomguard, you're not going to turn down a gift.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
I mean, if you really want to make the Doomguard happy, we should just throw it into a portal to the plane of elemental water.
Here's this gift that makes you miserable for a month. Mahogany will hold on to it for a month, and that'll, like, appease the Doomguard if he doesn't end up killing Mr. E. They'll just go, oh, I guess he wasn't Doomguard material, which, guess what? That's also an excellent outcome. Because Mahogany does not want to be a Doomguard.
Ashal has her her standard detached, not very talkative demeanor about her. Devensis is very chatty, and she immediately launches into questions about developments with the game.
Are we gonna hold anything back here, Kelian, or Mahogany? You guys, Serenity's plan is to be pretty upfront. I don't think we've learned anything worth concealing from these guys since the last time we talked to them.
Yeah, Mahogany's going to be upfront, but he will mention that the progress in the game was harmed when they were off in the outer regions because of the actions of himself. this thing happening to him. Like he's like, if you want action in this game, the best way to work forward to it is to fix this problem.
How much detail do you give her about the you're talking about like the conch shell incident?
I'm talking about the conch shell, and also how when we were with the Swan May, I was like, I wanted to just burn the entire place down, which was completely counter to being able to accomplish our goals in that area.
She is intensely curious about details about the conch shell and why you destroyed it, and is intensely curious about like your mental state while you were amongst the Swan May. And the whole time that you're answering her question,
Mahogany.
what?
That sounds exactly like the line of argument, the line of discussion that Mahogany would go into.
Not really, because her inquisitiveness has a point. Where Mahogany's the 5-year-old in the back of the car asking, when do we get there?
Wow. But yeah, Mahogany will go into it.
Okay. And when you go into detail, and the whole time she's gorging herself at the table. Like one of them will be having the conversation while the other one is stuffing her face, and they'll take turns off and on. And when you come to the end of it, she asks, and in what manner has this harmed the game? And as soon as she asks that, Gerald strides into the room from the Griffin Roost out here, takes a seat at the table and apologizes for his lateness.
And Mahogany will say that while they were waiting for Zook to arrive and all that, they had suspicion that this was part of the game, and Zook's arrival showed that it at least was game relevant. That if he had at that moment been unable to assist against the dragon, it might have ended right there, with no one learning anything.
Does Serenity or... sorry about that. Dropping dice. Does Serenity or Kelian add anything to that?
Not at this time.
Okay.
No.
Mahogany seems to have a grip on the conversation, so.
Gerald kind of goes over all the same information that you just gave to Devinsis, asking the same kind of questions. Again, he apologizes for being out of the room and needing to be brought up to speed. But even though you don't actually bring any new information about the games or its workings, even though you guys haven't actually seen Aunt Nancy since last time you've been to the Alcayondax,
Yeah.
they still seem incredibly interested in the details of your adventures on the Prime. Gerald asks you, and he says it's very important that you answer as honestly as possible. Are you certain that this took place on the Prime Material Plane, or is it possible that you were merely adjacent to it?
And Mahogany will say that he's not 100% certain, because while they started off on a Prime, they then went through a portal and came out somewhere that might have just been adjacent. It did seem different after we went through, and he'll say that looking at the rest of the group.
I mean,
Remember we went through that portal in the tree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have no reason not to believe that it wasn't also a...
Kelian, make a Wisdom 10 check.
Okay.
Kelian, known for his wisdom. Nah, though.
Nah.
So what was the first roll, now that you've re-rolled it into a 17?
It was a 6, it was a 3, and I burned 2 lucky points.
Okay.
But now it's a much better roll.
You actually do have reason to believe that going through the portal in the tree was leaving the Prime Material Plane. Because when you came back from the portal, no time had passed. you spent almost maybe over a month in those woods. When you came back to Blue Worm, you arrived seconds after you left.
Oh,
So you do have reason to believe that you left the plane.
I didn't realize that wasn't normal. Well then. Okay. In that case, Kelian says, actually, when we left the Prime and came back on the Prime, almost no time had passed. So it was entirely possible.
He says that the prime material plane, Gerald's saying this, is perhaps unique in the multiverse, as being maybe the only plane in existence that has layers that lay on top of one another, rather than being separate places. You think of a layer, say, in the Abyss as being sandwiched one on the other, or Mount Celestia, each mountain being a new layer of the plane. But the prime material, the layers of it all sit on top of one another, like fog rolling in off of an ocean. He asks many, many questions about your time in the woods, and he's especially interested in hearing about magical experiences that you've had there.
Yeah, Mahogany likes talking about them, so...
And I mean, all the food is finished, and magical servants enter the room and clear away. Eventually, Ashal excuses herself and leaves the table. But Gerald will listen to as much detail as you're able to give him for hours and hours and hours if you are inclined.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, he seems genuinely impressed. And he tells you that maybe you didn't realize it, but the field research that you and your group have done here is incredible. The knowledge that you've brought here to us, and to think that wasn't even your goal. You went there and learned a great deal about this place without even knowing what it was that you had learned.
And Mahogany says that generally we go out and learn a great many things during our adventures.
I mean, as long as we did it, I think if we did it, it actually was our goal. We just wouldn't have necessarily realized it at the time. That's sort of splitting hairs.
But at the end of the conversation, he thanks you for your time. He asks if there's anything you need the Alkayandak's assistance with as far as furthering your goals in the game.
Kelian points at Mahogany.
And yeah, and Mahogany will say, like, we could use assistance fixing the problem.
And he kind of waves it off dismissively and says, "Don't worry about that."
That's not an answer. No.
Yeah.
That's why we're here.
But it was very nice talking to all of you. And then he stands up from the table. And so does Devin, as she hops down off of her high chairs.
This is why I didn't want to give them the information right away, in case they... Yes.
And, no, when Kelian says that, like, I'm assuming you're actually muttering that, and Mahogany will say,
Yes.
like, this is why we won't give them information in the future. If they're not willing to fulfill any end of their bargain.
Now, when Mahogany's saying that, is he actually, like, confused about the bargain he just made with Gerald?
How do you mean?
Because downstairs, Gerald said, what we'll do is we'll sit down, have a nice meal, discuss your new research in the game and what you've learned, and then we'll part ways.
Sure, but if Gerald... Listen, people don't just say things like that without understanding also the connotations of what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
And what Mahogany is saying here is we're people who, when we don't even intend to, go out and learn a bunch of stuff that you find interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not willing to meet us even halfway, that won't stop happening.
And he tells you that that's a pity. But there are other teams that the Alkayandaks could reach out to. And again, he thanks you for your visit.
Alright. Let's go.
And he disappears
Let's
back
go,
out into the Griffin Roost.
Let's go as in let's start shooting dudes, or let's go as in we should leave.
We're in a bad put. Let me put it this way. Let's go as in let's go. And then as soon as once we leave, like, we were in a bad position there. It wasn't the time.
All right.
We went there, we learned what we needed to. If we come back here, we're gonna do it with the whole team.
All right.
When you go
What
to
about
leave,
your condition?
you ask about his condition. Let's have that conversation.
Once we've left, I'll see if there's some when we go to leave. I'll let that resolve first.
Yes, this is going to happen before you leave. Heading back downstairs towards the front of the... I keep clicking OBS when I want to click Tabletop Simulator because I have problems. There we go. Going back downstairs, when you go to leave, you see a shawl standing next to the front door. And she has a small box in her hands. It looks like a jewelry box, but it's very plain. Just a little wooden box with a silver clasp on it, holding it closed. And as you approach her, she stands in between you and the front door. And she says, "For what it's worth, I do not approve of the way the Alkayandaks have their dealings with you." She holds out the box to Mahogany.
Mm-hmm. The Mahogany will reach out to take it.
She warns you that it's very heavy.
Mahogany reaches out to Serenity to take it.
So who's taking
Okay,
it?
yeah, Serenity will pick it up. I mean, she's
And-
holding it.
In Serenity, this box easily weighs 200 pounds. Easily.
Okay.
She says, "Gerald asked me not to tell you this, but my conscience demands it. You need to know that the Modron was dealt with harshly for stepping outside the bounds of his duties here. Gerald
Is there
deemed him
any-
to be loyal to his faction over the Order."
Is there any precautions you're going to give us about this box? That was something so small. Ah, it's gonna tear my arm off.
She motions for you to open it.
I mean, I was hoping to do it outside where there's no gravity, but all right, let's do it.
I mean, you can step outside and open it too. That's fine.
But Mahogany will open it up, seeing that Serenity's using both her hands.
Okay.
Yeah.
And inside is, I want you to picture like a car crusher. Imagine a car crusher. that
Yeah,
could crush
no,
a car.
Mahogany.
You get it.
Listen, both Mahogany and Nodal know exactly what is in this box.
You know what's
Serenity
And-
has an idea too.
So
It-
does Kelian.
It is a twisted and gruesome sight inside.
Are Motorons at all organic in this edition?
They're both.
Okay.
I don't care what it says in the monster manual for this edition. In second edition, they were both.
Yeah, yeah.
And Mahogany will put the cover back on, and he'll say, well, I wish this could have been solved another way, but thank you for letting us know.
And Shawl nods, and then she brushes past you deeper into the fortress.
Yep.
All right, Mahogany. I know you're just going to do whatever you should do, and that's proper. But if you want my advice, as soon as we're back on Sigil, we bring this to the Doomguard. We give them that terrible sword back. and
No,
we're
I
done.
was absolutely going to drop this off in front of the door of the Doomguard, of the thing. Like, drop this off from Mahogany, and then
Yep.
also leave the sword on top of it.
Yep. Okay, we're in agreement.
Okay.
All right?
You're getting better at this.
Yeah.
You're still an arsonist, though, huh?
And Mahogany will shrug. I'll say, we'll deal with it like we always have. Maybe I can be an applied arsonist.
Right. Were you doing anything in town until your mass was completed?
Yeah. Well, one thing I wanted to do was, make the holy water set be ready
Okay.
when that happened.
And how much holy water did you make?
I think I have enough money to make like 3 flasks. You said it took 25 gold
It's 25 in material each.
in material components, right?
Yeah, we don't have to worry about what the actual materials are. That's just what it costs.
Yeah, yeah. I have enough money to make 2 flasks.
Okay. Was anybody else going to do anything in Sigil? But when you got back from Limbo, or can we just fast forward to the 17th?
We can fast forward to dropping off this box and the sword.
Okay.
I mean, we're not making a big show of it, so we can even fast forward through it if no one makes a big stink about
So
it.
you're literally just going up to the armory, leaving the box and the sword there, and then washing your hands of it?
With the note from Mahogany.
What does the note say?
It just says from Mahogany.
Just okay. Just
That's it. That's literally it.
And, now, does it say the words from Mahogany, or is it just like a sketch of Mahogany giving finger guns?
Oh, that would have been way better, but no, it says from Mahogany.
So on the 17th, when your first mass is completed, Riot.
Oh, can I unattune from this fucking sword, by the way, or is there something terrible that happens when I try to do that?
No, nothing bad happens when you try to unattune from it.
Okay.
I mean, you get your hit points back. That happens.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing bad happens.
So what does Riot do to sanctify this first mast?
Be right back.
I guess so she's got it now. I think what she wants to do is have a little ceremony, I guess, and kind of invite some of the people to watch. As she struggles to like come up with a prayer on the spot.
Okay.
Let's see. O divine Ostrom, watcher of all voyages across the seas, whether they be watery or astral, grant this mast your blessing, that those who ride behind it will see their enemies defeated swiftly, and take the best take the best plunder that they can.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, how much of that stammering was in the actual prayer? Like, was she visually uncomfortable coming up with this on the spot?
Probably like a 5.
Like a 5.
Yeah.
Forgetting that Riot has levels in Bard, so forget that you have that crazy Bard proficiency that's broken and probably whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is Riot trained in religion?
Forgetting the half proficiency?
Right.
No.
She's not. Take 1 rank in religion. Mark
Okay.
that on your sheet.
What do you
Wait.
mean by what does 1 rank mean?
That means you're proficient in religion.
Okay, gotcha.
Well, that's right. You can't buy multiple ranks of skills in this game, can you?
No.
I was thinking
I
3rd edition for some reason.
Well,
Yeah, it's binary.
bards sort of can. Bards have double proficiency in things.
That's
Which-
true. Yeah,
which
the
is why
skill-based
my-
classes
my-
effectively get half and double. So
Bards are
Correct.
worse.
Yeah, my performance and
they're
persuasion are so nonsense.
Okay.
But yeah, okay.
You feel a very strange sensation, and you called onlookers here to watch as you sanctified this mast, and you said this prayer about seas, be they ocean or astral, and you get a very serene feeling as you speak the words. The beginning of the prayer is very muddled as you're not sure what you're going to say, but at the end of it, you feel very comfortable with it. You have a sensation much like when you sacrifice in NetHack and you just know you're cool with God. Like we're good, right?
You have a feeling of reconciliation.
Exactly. You have it's a very serene feeling, but it's also very bizarre because you've kind of been on Osprum's wavelength for a while now. You've kind of known a little bit about her, more than a standard person would, because you have that clerical connection to Osprey, but you feel that connection change. And what I mean is you're feeling that Osprey herself is changing in some way. And you know just instinctively that the sanctification on this mast has taken hold.
All right. Well, the pirates will be pleased,
Okay?
and then displeased because the Barracuda isn't flayed. But I have a plan for that.
Okay. Is that something else you wanted to take care of before?
Yeah, we should
Going
make the
staircase?
delivery because they wanted that first one, and I owe them an explanation.
So what is the explanation for why the Barracuda isn't flayed?
So I tell them that there's 2 reasons why it isn't flayed. From the perspective of Ostrom, speaking as a priestess of Ostrom, she would not bless an image, her holy image that had been sanctified. You just wouldn't get what you wanted. She would see it, and I would speak the words, but no blessing would come. Any holy water that I made in dip would become unholy. From a symbology point of view, speaking as a bard, you are going about this the wrong way. The flayed barracuda, like you guys, the pirates, you are the barracudas of the sea. You are the things that prey and eat and take. Flying a flayed barracuda in front of you makes you look wounded and beat up.
Make a persuasion check.
Okay.
Why do you even roll? Just say it's a 20.
Because it wasn't. It was only a 15.
Zez buys the argument. He's not happy about it because it doesn't look as, biker tough as a flayed barracuda would, but he sees the sense in it. And then he makes arrangements for the mass to be delivered to his people elsewhere.
Okay.
And you guys hash out the details for the
next 6.
Yes.
Yeah. And I tell him I'm going to be off plane a bit, probably. I guess this doesn't take over on the infinite staircase. But I'll get you the rest as soon as I possibly can. I'll contact you when they're ready.
Well, I mean, what I'm saying is this is something you can organize and it can take place without you. You don't need to be here to oversee all of these deliveries.
Okay. The only problem, I guess, with that is I only have enough holy water. Asked. I'm broke.
How much money do you need?
For 5 more, I'd need 250. No, wait. It's 25 per?
It's 25 per.
I need 125.
I'm pretty sure I can float that for you.
All right. Well, if you're going to do it, then I can make those arrangements.
Listen, let's make this fucking plot point. Let's finish this plot point.
Yeah, I get you.
Here's your 125.
I get you. We fast forward past all this stuff.
Yeah.
And so you guys, or Mahogany, just leave the box there with a sword and a note outside the armory.
Yeah.
And as you're walking away, you hear one of the Doomguard call after you. Do you turn or respond?
No.
And that's the end of it. As far as you know, they took the box and the sword back inside.
Yeah, we don't want any more part of it. Listen, I call it respond before I know it. I'm talking to their fucking factal again. And no one wants that.
So on Mahogany's list of factals that he doesn't want to talk to again, like, is Pentar at the top of that list?
Oh, absolutely.
So you'd rather have another sit down with Nylesia?
I would rather have a sit down with Nylesia and Darkwood talking about their differences.
All right. And does that tie up the last loose end for Sigil? You guys said you were going to do some research into the Infinite Staircase. Where was that going?
I didn't have any money to spend on that.
You didn't even ask anyone at a bar? You go to
how
a
long
bar
have
of
you been playing
lore.
this game? How long have you been playing this game?
You go
When
to a
have we
college
ever-
of lore.
Ever once gotten any information out of people without spreading some jingle around?
It won't happen in Sigil. Everything
Yeah.
costs something.
I considered doing it. I thought about it. I was going to do it, and then I realized I
And
had
then
no
you
money.
didn't.
And then
and
I
then
have
you-
no money.
Yeah.
He's right. It probably wouldn't have went anywhere. So, how much are you going to invest in this research, and where do you want to get it from, basically?
Who are you asking?
Just everybody in general.
Oh, okay.
This can be a group
Yeah.
decision.
I can kick in some jink. Let me see here. We'll go ahead and we will take a 1,000 out of Serenity's hidey hole pool.
1,000 gold? What do you want them to give you, an infinite map of the infinite staircase?
Sure, fine. 100.
Yeah, sometimes in D&D, I feel like you lose sight of how much money 1,000 gold is.
So to be clear, because Destil's a cipher, what happened there was Serenity said, "I'm going to spend 1,000 gold." Then Mahogany stepped in to stop her
Yeah.
from doing that.
Yeah, because, like, Mahogany is a shopkeeper. He has an actual idea of how much money things are worth.
Serenity, where are you getting
Yeah.
this information from? Who are you spreading this around to?
I hear about this great information broker known as the Locksmith.
In that case, 1,000 gold would be perfect.
We'd never get in to see him, though. He's too important.
Okay.
Kelian,
Yeah. What's up?
make an influence roll for Locksmith.
And it's, I think it's a 19, so it's +4, so 16.
16.
Yeah.
The properties of the Infinite Staircase is that it's a place in between planes. It connects various planes, and there are stories and rumors that it connects basically everywhere, but most of the places it opens into are various prime material worlds. What you're most interested in hearing about are current events from the Infinite Staircase. There have been a larger than normal influx of people from the staircase into Sigil, which is a little odd. The staircase is not as often used as some of the other planar pathways, like Mount Olympus or Yggdrasil, the World Tree, or a couple of the other things like the River Styx. The staircase is kind of known as like an out-of-the-way thing. It's kind of like driving down the frontage road, to use a metaphor. So to hear that there's been more of an influx into Sigil from people who have been traveling the staircase is intriguing in and of itself. And poking that a little bit, what Locksmith manages to glean is that there has been an enormous push from the abyss into the staircase as of late. Travel on the staircase has become very, very dangerous, and large parts of it have been destroyed or rebuilt or repurposed. The death toll on the Lilens, the Sphinx-like guardians of the staircase. You actually met some who were
Yeah.
the mask
Yeah.
wearers in
Right.
the Gates of the Moon.
Yeah.
Their death toll has been monstrous. The Tenari of the Abyss have murdered a large number of them. So that's current events on the Infinite Staircase.
And Kelian will relay that to the party.
I'll say it's a good thing we didn't get involved at the time.
Riot is
I think that
somewhat.
would
You said it was from the abyss.
yeah.
Riot is somewhat relieved because she knows that means whatever they're in for on the staircase, it means they won't have to make a bunch of deals that work great.
Oh.
Good.
Could Kelian deduce that this might be a blood war thing? Or is that
It's always a blood war thing.
that's because that's what the information sounded like, but I don't know how much of that is me the player versus Kelian would know.
Here's what Kelian knows. Last time he was on the staircase, they woke up literally a sleeping demon and retreated from it without killing it.
Okay.
That's what Kelian knows for sure. As to for it being a blood war thing, you personally saw the battlefield when you looked through the portal in the Doomguard Tower.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. Okay.
Wait, when you say the battlefield,
Mm-hmm.
is that like a specific place associated with the blood war?
No, you guys looked through the portal and you saw
Portal, we
the,
saw all the bodies.
the
Okay.
wasteland of corpses.
The bodies.
You
on
mentioned we saw bodies. What kind of fiends were they? The bodies that we saw.
Primarily Tenari
Okay.
and Yugoloth, because the both sides of the blood war use a lot of Yugoloth mercenaries.
Gotcha.
Thank you. Sorry, it's just I can absolutely see there being a place in Planescape that's labeled capital letters "the battlefield."
I'm sure there is somewhere.
I think it's I think that's a cube on Archon.
Yeah.
But as far as like magical properties and things, I mean, there's nothing that's going to trip you up. You guys have been there. You kind of know how to get around the staircase. There's a lot of climbing involved.
Oh yeah, and the magical properties of Easegard don't apply.
They don't, because it's not part of Easegard.
Yeah. Do we remember? Let me see if I have.
We
any notes on
remember
this.
that the things that I remember are that you don't split up from people when you're on the staircase.
Yeah, the two big pieces of information, like the two big open secrets, are number one, you don't jump off of a landing, and number two, you do not travel the staircase alone.
I'm trying to remember if there were any planar effects on magic on the staircase.
I don't think we have enough of it to really say.
Yeah, maybe not.
We're like 3rd level then. Spider worked. That's all I remember.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Spiders are really good though.
This is actually one of the few like Planescape accessories I don't own, so fortunately I'm a dirty pirate and I have all the PDFs.
It's one of the Planescape accessories I don't own, so guess what? No effects on the staircase. It's great.
Player character magic is amplified and easier, and NPC magic, and this is just going from memory, is impeded.
Just
Yeah.
that's what it is, solely for memory.
Healing always heals for full.
But only for PCs.
Right. And summoned creatures cannot break free.
All spells are treated as if they were cast by a 20th level god.
No, I'm just paging through the document here to double check.
A 20th level god is that governor build that I thought of. Where you're both a governor and a god. That's the only way I can think of to describe a god as 20th level.
Yeah, is that a new class? God.
Yeah.
I took a bunch of ranks in God.
Wasn't there...
It's really weird. They named it wizard in this one.
Destil, you might know. Wasn't there actually a D&D campaign setting where you played as gods?
Exalted is kind of that.
Yeah, I mean, Exalted's kind of doing that. I feel like Birthright, there was some of that.
Okay.
I was never a big Birthright fan, though.
I've never played Exalted, but I've always really wanted to, because I just love the setting.
Yeah,
like it
there's
was
not,
more like
as far as
Demigods,
magical effects goes, I'm not going to say that there's none, because everybody's got a story about something that didn't work. You heard from a guy who heard from a guy, but because it's not part of a plane and it's not actually ruled by like an ideology or anything, most likely there will not be any unpleasant surprises as far as magic not working the way it's supposed to. The stories that you hear, though, are similar to Sigil. Trying to reach or leave the staircase other than using one of the doors on the landings usually fails. It's not a place where you can be gated into or teleport out of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So, a good place to fight fiends.
In as much as anywhere is a good place to fight fiends, yeah.
Right. I'm assuming that's the only reason why you can meet up with fiends and Sigil and have a pleasant conversation. Is because they can't just gate in a million fiends.
Have you had one pleasant conversation with any fiend in Sigil
I had
ever?
a very pleasant conversation with a fiend that ended very pleasantly in a devil bar.
Pleasantly.
If you asked Mahogany what was the one event that made him happy, proudest of his faction, it would probably be the urge to go to that bar, doing so, learning about fiends in one of his party members' heritage, and then also rescuing a girl at the same time.
So, Kelian. Having bent Locksmith to gaining this information, that kind of puts Locksmith at the forefront of information regarding the Infinite Staircase for the time being. And visiting there can only increase that particular bit of influence in Sigil.
Okay.
Any other preparations, or are we ready to jump through the door?
I'm about ready.
All right, we're not jumping through the door.
I'm not. I'm never ready to jump through the door. I just jump through it. It's not a question.
Okay. Now, much of this dungeon we're about to run is actually printed in a book called War Games, an adventure book, which is one of the Blood War box set supplements. They released a set called Hellbound the Blood War, and I forget if we were streaming it, but I mentioned it is the darkest and most depraved material I've ever seen printed by TSR. So some of this we'll be reading right from the book, because we have the good old italicized text to read.
Can we have a short break? Because I've had to go to the bathroom for a while.
Go ahead.
All right, thank you.
This is a good break.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little early for a break, but yeah, we'll break now, and we'll come back at 4 p.m., and I'll read this excellent description here.